someone else, to give you all the requirements. I wouldn't give you all the requirements all at once. I will just start with a 30-second introduction of my needs, and y'all are supposed to ask me questions and elicit the requirements. Heads up, I'm going to be vague about my requirements. The requirements may be dynamic, but always make sure that you take proper notes, and don't assume anything. If you have any questions, raise your hand. I'll select people at random to ask questions. Okay, so the system is SubHub. It is basically, I'm the administrator of Irvine High School. My everyday job is to assign substitute teachers. Some of the teachers do not come to teach on a particular day for any reason, such as they're not feeling well or they've decided to take time off. In such cases, we bring in substitute teachers. The current system is done manually, and I want y'all as software engineers to automate the system for me. Questions? Yes? Irvine High School SubHub system.
Can you repeat that? What was the question?
So the question was, he wanted the clarification of the name of the system. The system is Irvine High School SubHub system.
What platform does it need to run on?
What platform does it need to run on is the question. I'm just an administrator. I have no idea, I have no technical idea of anything that goes around in the computer world. So whatever you suggest.
When you look at your computer, is there a piece of fruit on it?
That's not the way to talk to clients. I can't hear you.
Who are the users expected to use the system?
It will just be me primarily for assigning substitute teachers, but sometimes the principal may use the system as well.
But no teachers have access to it at all?
No.
Students have access to it?
No. Yes.
Do you want us to the system to restrict access, so make it like a username password entry?
So the question is, do I want any security protocols in the system, such as username and password entry? Well, I would prefer that, since no one else is supposed to access the system besides me. Yes?
What minimum information would be required to have substitute?
The question is, what minimum information is required to have substitute teachers? Right now, the only information we have is the name of the teachers, the proximity of the teacher's location to the school, the expertise of the teachers. That's about it.
Who was the last one? Did you say that again?
Expertise, their subject knowledge.
Oh, jeez. Did you say them all again?
Oh.
Expertise.
Yes. The subject knowledge that the teachers have, their names, the proximity of their location of their house to the school.
Would this have to run on a mobile platform such as an iPhone or an Android smartphone or from the web?
The question is, would this have to run on a mobile platform or just a web-based platform? I'm giving you $20,000. Can you have a mobile platform in that budget?
No.
Yes.
How many files? The teachers? You have files with them? Filing of the teachers? How many files? Do you have them in the computer?
Currently?
Yeah.
Well, current system is manual. I have box files of the teacher data.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, how is the current system managed? Like, how many files of the teachers? So the answer is, currently I have just box files of the teachers. Okay, so the question is, how do I currently assign substitute teachers? The answer to that question would be, there are three types, mainly when teachers contact me that they wouldn't be coming for the lecture. The first is they may contact me well in advance, say for example when they're going for a vacation. The second is they may contact me a couple of days in advance, say if they have a doctor's appointment, which is known. And the third is they may just send me an email the night before saying that they wouldn't be able to make it the next day because they aren't feeling well. Currently, I go to the office every day at 4:30 a.m. I check my emails and see which teachers wouldn't be coming in on that day. I call the teachers, the substitute teachers, at 5:30 a.m. in the morning and ask them if they're willing to substitute for the class. That is the current system. Yes.
Is that the only reason you go to the office at 4:30 a.m.?
The question is that the only reason I go to the office at 4:30 a.m.? And my answer is that is none of your concern.
So you said right now you have all the substitute teachers' information in a box. Are we supposed to like take that and put it like into?
The question is currently I have the substitute teacher information in a box and what do I do with it? Well, that's really for you to figure. I want the system to be automated. You want however you want to transfer the data. I have no idea about it because I'm not a software engineer, I'm just an administrator. Yes?
The current different forms that you have, are they standardized or are the forms vary with the paper forms that you have?
The question is the current forms of substitute teachers that I have in the files, are they standardized or do they vary? They're standardized. So it's all information in files in standard column format.
Is it typed or handwritten?
Question is it typed or handwritten? It is handwritten.
How would you define automated? How would you define automated?
The question is how would I define automated? Well, automated would be I would answer that question for my needs for the system basically. I don't want to wake up at 4:30 and go to the office and assign substitute teachers. Currently, because of me calling the substitute teachers at 5:30 a.m., some of the teachers do not answer their calls. It generally goes to voicemail. I do not know if the teacher wants to substitute or not, so I want to avoid the whole calling at 5:30 a.m. process. Yes?
Would you like students to receive updates about who's substituting for their classes?
Would I like students to receive updates about who is substituting for their classes? No.
Is there more than one teacher with the same expertise?
Is there more than one teacher with the same expertise? Yes.
How do you get if you're substituting one teacher? How do you get between one and the other? Is there priority or is it one better?
Right now it's mostly done intuitively, but I want you to develop an algorithm for me. So the way it is done intuitively right now is, firstly, I decide on the subject expertise of the teachers. If the subject expertise are the same, my second priority would be, so generally when the teacher has substituted before, I would prefer assigning that teacher as a substitute again. If again I have teachers who have substituted before, my third priority would be the student ratings. So by student ratings, I mean whenever a teacher has substituted before, the students assign rates for the teacher. Whichever teacher gets the more rates, she would be given as the substitute. If again that is the same, my fourth priority would be the location of their house to the school. The closer they are to the school, the more chance of being a substitute.
You go over that one more time, please? Really fast.
The fourth.
Yeah.
Subject knowledge.
Subject knowledge.
Second one was
Repeat.
Sub-repetition.
She's been there before.
okay, everyone's talking.
Subject knowledge.
Subject knowledge, if say subject knowledge, then they would have
You were making this up.
If they have been a substitute before.
yeah, if there's a substitute before, student rating and location analysis. Yes.
How are subs supposed to be notified that they're going to be substituted?
Currently, they're called. I would like you all to suggest methods such as, do you think calling would be better, or emailing would be better, texting would be better, or should I start by first calling and then if they don't answer then send emails? So that's up to you to decide. What do you think?
Email. Would you like all five?
Would I like all five?
We'll call them, text them, leave them a voicemail, and send them a Facebook message.
What order would you do them? And okay, so the question is, would I prefer all five of them? Calling them, texting
Just
them?
four. We'll stay with it.
No Facebook messages?
No.
Tinder?
Calling them, texting them,
Voicemail.
Voicemail, email. Would I prefer all four? Well, I just need the substitute teachers to turn up. That's my only concern. So
Turn up.
I want them to come for it to come to me.
She wants the teachers to turn up.
So you could have all four, but make sure that
What's your priority?
what's my priority?
If there could only be one function, would you rather us call them 2 times or send them a text and a call? Like, what would you prefer?
Well, if you ask me, I would keep calling them again and again till they answer their phones, but that would be annoying. So can you think of any better mechanism?
Okay, and then another question is, in your files, in your handwritten files, do you have the list of teachers that have already substituted for specific teachers and that have gotten good ratings?
So the question is, in my handwritten files, do I have notes of teachers who've already substituted before? Yes.
Okay.
Are you also responsible for giving the subs access to the classrooms? Like, is there another system that's like digital? I don't know, anything that we need to assign access for a sub to get into the classroom?
The question is, am I responsible for assigning substitute teachers to the classroom? No, that's not my job. My job is to only make sure they come to the classroom.
So if we do call them, do you want it to be like an automated thing that says press 1 if you'll show up, press 2 if you don't, and if they press 2,
Turn up.
no I'm joking. No, press 2 if they don't want to show up, and then if they don't want to show up, call the next eligible substitute.
The question is, do I want a system wherein you call the professor and they press 1 if they're gonna show up for the lecture, and 2 if they aren't gonna show up for the lecture? I don't know. What do you think? Would that be better?
I guess that's pretty simple.
Takes away your job.
Yeah.
If you think it's better.
I mean, that way at least when they get the call and they automatically hear like, would you like to, they can just straight up push 1 and then go back to sleep instead of like hearing like a list.
I'm going to go back to the previous question. So for this question, you're assuming that I'm going to always call the teachers and not email them or text them or voice notes.
Okay, so if they do answer their phone, do you want them to either push 1 or 2? And if they don't answer their phone, how long of a period of time do you want us, what's the cut, like you said you call them at 5:30, what's the cutoff point before you start calling another substitute teacher for that specific position?
Right now, it is half an hour.
Okay.
So the question was, when I call a teacher right now, how long do I wait for their response, whether it's positive or negative? And if it is a negative response, when do I move to the next teacher? So I wait for half an hour currently. Yes.
Is it a first response, get the job type of system? And what happens in the case that you can't find a sub for that class?
Question, is it a first response, get the job kind of system? Yes.
Okay, so you basically go out and call as many teachers, like, so whoever responds.
According to the core.
Okay, and then if you can't find a substitute teacher for that classroom, what happens?
Question is, if I don't find a substitute teacher for the class, what happens?
No class? But you said you don't want to contact students though, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is this a high school or a college?
It's a high school.
It's a high school.
In high school.
They're just going to be all...
What happens if you can't find the sub?
Yeah, that's the same question. What happens if I can't find substitute teachers? I will consider calling the day off for the students.
Okay, first one for the serve.
Did you have to call them for availability? Are you able to ask them in like advance, like what's their availability?
The question is, if I call the teachers and ask them for their availability, do I have any data about their availability in advance? Yes, I do. They've given me time slots of the days when they'll be available, so I make sure that I contact only the teachers who are available for those days.
Are you able to give us access to the grades for your students, or is that a private thing?
Question, am I allowed to give you access to the grades? No. Student grades?
Yeah.
just for assigning subs. We're not
Oh, so the grades which they have assigned substitute teachers.
Right.
Okay, yes, you have access to those.
There are a lot of students, because there are a lot of students that have to get
Question, if the first choice that I make for a substitute teacher cannot make it, how many backups do you keep? Well, currently it depends on how many teachers enroll with the school. So if I have a number of teachers coming in, all of them are kept in the database, whoever is available is assigned.
If a teacher finds last minute that they're not able to come to the day, maybe there's an emergency, can they contact the automated system directly and give a warning that they need a substitute teacher?
Question, if the teacher cannot make it for the day, can they contact the automated system directly? Well, that's what I would prefer, which is why it's being automated.
So as a way to have teachers do that, we have them send an email with a specific header so that it alerts the automated system that this teacher will not be available.
Question is that should the current teacher?
Yes.
Okay, the question is that should the current teacher send an email with the header, a specific header format to the automated system in case they aren't available so that the automated system can pick up the tags in the header? Again, I'm an admin. I don't know how, however, you're a software engineer. You tell me how you want to automate it.
Do you want to filter out substitute teachers that have consistently bad ratings?
Question, do I want to filter out substitute teachers that have consistently bad ratings? Right now, I don't filter them out. I keep them in the database, so in case the ones with the good ratings aren't available, the ones with the not so good ratings are brought into substitute.
What's the deadline for the software?
What's the deadline for the software? The deadline for the software is the end of this course, which is 10 weeks from now.
You said if we can't find a teacher for, so let's say the class starts 8 o'clock, like it's a high school class, at one point do you want us to stop trying to find a teacher? Like, you know how you said if there's no sub, what happens? Are we just continuously supposed to find a sub until the end of the day? Like, let's say we don't find a sub before 8 o'clock, but the teacher still has class at like 12. Do we just continuously try and find one? And like, will we notify you through email? It's like, oh, let this first period off, we haven't found one yet. Let this next period off, we haven't found one yet. Until like, oh, fourth period's gonna happen because we found a substitute teacher.
So the question is, until when do you keep trying to find a substitute teacher? till the beginning of the class.
I mean, but there's, most high schools are like block schedules, so you're gonna have like your first, second, third, first like brunch, second, third, lunch, fourth and fifth. So do you want us to just stop after the first class, or do you want us to?
Well, if the class is in the fourth section, I want you to keep finding to the fourth section.
Okay.
Okay. How many substitute teachers do you have on file?
Question is, how many substitute teachers do I have on file? Currently 132.
And then you said database. Earlier you said you had a hard file, but then you mentioned the database. That they're in a database.
They're in hard files right now. However you want to convert them into the automated system, that's your call.
How would you like to be notified that they accepted the substitute position?
The question is, how would I like to be notified that they accepted the substitute position? What are your suggestions? Currently, I'm not notified in any way because I'm assigning them. But could you tell me the pros and cons of emails and phone calls?
You don't pick up the phone or you don't check the email.
Those are the cons. What are the pros of both?
Instant. Or a phone call, email.
I would like to be notified by email.
How will teachers be able to relay lesson plan information to the substitute teacher? Lesson plan information, how would they get it to the substitute teacher? Would they give like an email to sub? If it happens, like warning that the sub accepted, how would they get that information?
So the question is, how would the current teachers give the class information to the substitute teachers? The answer for that is, firstly, it's not a part of my job. Secondly, whenever a teacher completes a class, she records what she's taught in the class for that day, so I would give the substitute teachers the same record.
Do you necessarily have to be a part of the system? Because it sounds like the teachers are coming to you and then you're contacting the substitute teachers or whatever. Can we take you out of the equation?
Okay, so the question, you guys trying to make me lose my job. So the question is,
if you have other jobs at the school, then it's one less job that you'd have to do, I guess. So it sounds like we can take you out of the system right now.
For future references, never tell a client I can lose your job. His question is,
it frees up your time.
His question is, can you take me out of the equation, because currently the substitute teachers contact me and then the current teachers contact me and then I contact the substitute teachers. There needs to be at least one person to maintain the system in case the system goes wrong. And as we know from software experience, the systems generally go wrong.
Does the district have any requirements on how you store the information of the substitute teachers?
The question is, does the district have any requirements on how I store the information of substitute teachers? That's for you to figure out. Currently, it's in files, so it's all locked up, and I made sure that the files aren't accessible to anyone else. But all the security protocols and security metrics are for you to figure out.
Okay, so when the teachers contact the system to say they're not going to show up, is there going to be a method for them to authenticate, even though it's not someone else spoofing their identity?
So the question is, when a substitute teacher indicates the system that they aren't going to show up, is there any method to indicate that it's the teacher itself and there's no spoofing of the teacher? I don't know how spoofing and privacy works. I don't know the privacy issues. Again, I'm an admin. Don't think of me as a software engineer right now. I'm an admin. I don't know how spoofing works, but if you think that there could be a method to prevent that, good. Can I contact multiple substitute teachers at a time? Right now, I don't do that. I contact one teacher at a time.
You mentioned student ratings. How do you record student ratings?
So the question is, how do I currently record student ratings? At the end of each class, there is a survey of the substitute teachers which is given to the students. The students are made to fill out the survey, and then I go to the survey data, manually analyze it, and enter it into the files.
In the case where there's no substitute teachers left for certain expertise, would you like to start going to other substitute teachers that are expertise that are class?
So the question is, in case I do not find a teacher of a certain expertise, would I be open to broadening the subject area? Well, currently I do.
You do?
Someone before asked how many substitute teachers you have on file right now. Could you say that again?
So the question is, how many substitute teachers do I have on file right now? The answer is 132.
Also, could you slow down and speak up? I have a question.
Sorry.
Oh, me?
No, you.
Is it 132 or 122?
132.
Is that a relevant?
Expecting this system to be in use constantly, or does it turn on only when you need a substitute? Like, what is the usage, expected usage of the system?
The question is, what is the expected usage of the system? Is the system going to be used all the time? My question to you is, if the system is being used all the time, what are the downfalls?
Well, it depends on where you're hosting it out of. If you're hosting it on school servers.
I don't know what is the meaning of hosting and servers.
It has to be put somewhere that other people can access it through the internet, or you can access other people's computers. So you would usually put that on a server.
I don't know what server is.
Server is just a giant machine.
It's a bit like a fridge.
It's playing a role.
Stop talking like engineers.
Your question is? Do you have a question? No?
Do you need to be able to access this information like from the web, or are you just going to log into a computer in school and
Question is, do I need to access the information from the web, or do I go to the school and log into a computer? I want to avoid going to the school at 4:30 a.m. If you can provide me access into the computer from my place, or if you can make it online on the web, that's your call. Yes? Okay, I'll come back to you when it's finished. Question is, do I want to add new teachers, update the records, or remove them? Well, of course, right now I'm doing that. How else would I ask teachers?
Yes. Do you want the rating submission process automated? And if so, how often do you students have access to do something?
The question is, do I want the student ratings to be automated, and how?
And if you do want automated, do students have writing access to computers on campus?
And if I want it automated, do students have access to computers on campus? Students do have access to computers on campus, so answering your second question first. And do I want it automated? I would prefer it to be automated. It reduces my work of analysis. Okay.
How many teachers are in the system, and what time does school start?
There are 142 teachers. 132. The school starts at 8 a.m. Are the number of teachers and the number of substitute teachers the same number? No. I always have extra backup substitute teachers.
When the automated system finds a sub, do you want it to contact them directly, or do you want to approve it first?
If the automated system finds a substitute teacher, do I want it to contact them directly or approve it first? I don't want to wake up at 4:30 a.m. How long will the system be in effect for? I want you to build me up a system as long as it can last.
Okay, and if so, since you're going to be the administrator and not the owner that has access to the system, would you like something so you can create an account so future administrators can also access it?
The question is, are there going to be any future administrators who would access the system? Yes. So in case I leave, a future administrator should be able to access the system. I'm going to have to move on. You've asked too many times.
So for my high school, sometimes the teachers, they would bring in like a close friend or something as a substitute teacher. How would that play into this? Do they just notify you and then you A-OK it, or?
So the question is, in his high school, the teachers used to bring their close friends to substitute. That's not allowed in my high school. They have to be enrolled in the database in order to be a substitute teacher.
No exception.
No exception to the rule. No close friends, no family. I can't. Can you repeat that?
You mentioned initially that the only users of the system you want was yourself and engagement with the principal. Based on what we're talking about before, would it be acceptable to you if we allowed teachers and students to make accounts and use the system as well to a limited aspect?
Why would the teachers and students need access to the system?
Well, you would want the students to access the system so that they can provide ratings about the system.
Students wouldn't access the same system.
It wouldn't be necessarily, they wouldn't have as many capabilities as you would. They would access the system and input only that, so they would have a specific only account. Would that be acceptable?
No. Which one? Okay.
Okay, I have 3 questions.
Okay, should we be concerned in like the registration of these substitute teachers? Like, do you want that to be also an automated process? And you be notified of whether to accept or not?
The question is, would I be concerned with the registration? I mean, should the system even register the teachers automatically? I want the system to be automated. Everything that I do right now, the system should be able to do. Right now, I'm manually entering the teacher information. If you can make it automated at $20,000, good.
Okay, and then I'm really confused on like, do you want to be notified at all for any certain situations? Like, I don't want it automated, but like, I don't want certain situations where you want to be notified on something.
Okay. So the question is, do I want to be notified about any situation which occurs? I would like to be notified in two cases. The first is when I do not find a substitute teacher. If, say, teacher 1 rejects, I want to be notified of that. Teacher 2 rejects, I want to be notified of that again. Also, I want to be notified when you find a substitute teacher.
Okay. And then the last question, so is there like a school website where like all teachers like are able to like log in and like, because we want to probably provide this system as like a service like that would be put on this website. So is there a website like that all teachers log into?
The question is there a website where all substitute teachers log in? There is no website for substitute teachers. Which one? Yes.
I know I'm reiterating what you said, if you were there in school and future admins be accessing the system, but as an automation, that maybe new substitutes should be registered.
Substitute teachers register the system, but they do not have access to the data. Okay, the question is, I mentioned once before that only people allowed in the system are the principal and myself, and his question is, but I also mentioned that substitute teachers can access the system. Substitute teachers can enroll and should be able to enroll in the system, but they should not be given access to data of any other teachers besides their own. Yes. Is there any deadline by which the teachers can respond back if they want to teach you?
Like, let's say, like, you are looking for teachers and you can't find a teacher and it's already like 7 a.m., which is an hour before school starts. Do you want the system to notify you, like, oh, we weren't able to find a teacher by this time? Or you just, like, want it, like, you know, to keep searching to, like, find the, like, school to already start, you know what I mean?
Okay, so there are actually two parts to the question. The first part is, how long do I give teachers the time to respond? That's half an hour. The second part is, at 7 o'clock, that is an hour before the school starts, and I still can't find a teacher. Do I want the system to notify me? Yes. The question is what I mentioned before, that students should not be able to access the system, and now I want students to enter data into the system. Well, my answer for your question is, initially I never thought that as a possibility, but once someone mentioned that, I thought it was a good suggestion. So. Students should only be allowed to rate the teachers.
Are there any accessibility requirements? If anybody's colorblind, if anybody with no visibility, anything like that?
Are there any accessibility requirements? Well, recently I read an article that all websites should be, all applications should be accessible. So if you could read the same article and follow the rules, that would be good.
Ooh, sassy.
Okay, so it sounds like the way you want it is that you want substitutes to come register, but that sounds like the system itself would have to be able to check somehow to see if that person is a registered substitute teacher, and that would cost you too much money. So would you mind actually inputting simple data to add teachers into the system? So it would take away the system having to check to see if that person is a registered substitute teacher or whatnot, going and doing all the searching. When you can just put name, first name, last name, contact, this person teaches English. Is that an okay amount of task for you?
Okay, so the question is, we have a budget issue here, wherein having the substitute teachers enter names into the system, enter their own data into the system is too expensive for you guys to do. How many of y'all have the same opinion?
The system will have to check to see if that person is a substitute teacher. Or some 2-year-old or 5-year-old can come, hey, I'll be a substitute teacher for you. You can just input the name, first name, last name, contact, and the subject that they teach, which would be like 5 seconds.
But I would still prefer the system to be automated.
It is still automated. They'll still be entered into the database.
But I still have to do the work of inputting the data. If you can make it automated, it would be good.
You have to do something. It's going to automate other things, but that's, you're the administrator here, so you have to do a little bit of administrating. Is that okay? Or no? If it's not okay, it's fine.
If it cannot fit within your budget, I may consider that.
Sure.
But I would prefer you to automate the whole system.
Money.
Okay, so I have 2 questions. The first one is to clarify. Earlier you said that you wanted the system to keep on searching for sub up until class time, which is 8 o'clock, right?
Well, the school starts at 8 o'clock. The class time may be later in the day.
Oh, school starts at 8 for class time. Okay, and you want it to be notified by 7 a.m. if no substitutes happen. Okay, cool. My other question is, would you prefer a functionality where teachers could list their preferred substitute teachers?
The question is, would I prefer a functionality where the teachers could list their preferred substitute teachers? What do you think? Would that help me in any way?
Yes.
The question is for him. The question is for you, yes or no?
Yeah, because then you have to search for automate it yourself if you already have a list. Instead of the control random one, you don't know which
Okay, don't worry about it. So the question is, do I want the teachers to put in their preference for substitute? Well, right now the teachers don't, but if in your algorithm you can, if that is a requirement for your algorithm to help me better assign substitute teachers, sure.
Yes, you said that sometimes regular teachers will contact you a week in advance, sometimes a day in advance, depending on why they need to be on leave. Now, with that in mind, when should the software contact substitute teachers, depending on when regular teachers call them?
So the question is, teachers would sometimes tell me a month in advance or a couple of days in advance that they wouldn't be able to substitute for the class. Currently, as soon as the teachers notify me, I record back to substitute teacher.
Okay, is there a integrated calendar system used by Irvine High, like Microsoft Exchange or Google Calendar? And if so, would you like the system to be integrated with that? So someone puts on their calendar like I'm going on vacation and it sends you the notification regularly.
The question is there any integrated calendar for Irvine High so that the teachers can input the data in the system? Right now, no. They just sent me an email saying that they wouldn't be able to make it for the lunch.
I want to sort out 2 pretty big details that I feel right now. So first of all, how I imagine the system right now is you're going to be running the back end where the data for all the subs is inputted by you, and you only see all the data. But then we would have the user end in which students could rate the teachers, and the teachers would tell the system that they can show the data, and then that system would go about automatically. So that would be something that the teachers could access. They won't be able to see all the data, but there'd be a user end, and there'd be an administrative end and teachers. Does that sound all right?
What would you do?
What?
backend is something that you would be administrating over, right? That would be where all the data is kept. That would be, you can see all the data, but the user and no other user can see any of the data.
Yes, so his question is, would only I be able to see the data, and the users are not given the same view of the data? Yes, I only have to be able to see the data of the substitute teachers and not students or anyone else. What do I want to do in the case that the system fails? Well, this is why I keep my job. If the system fails, I come in and I find a substitute teacher manually. But the system shouldn't fail. I'm paying you $20,000. I don't want the system to fail. That shouldn't be a concern. The question is, currently I have 132 subs. Do I plan to have more substitute teachers? Well, the teachers enrolled are always put in the database so that I do not have any day when the class doesn't have a teacher. So I cannot predict how many teachers would enroll into the system. Do I keep statistics of if I contact the substitute teachers, how many times do they accept it and how many times do they reject it? Currently, yes. Can a new substitute teacher enroll in the system? They should. What if it is a criminal act and how do I verify that?
What?
The current system, I always make sure that I check background check of the substitute teachers who enter into the system.
So in the system as it is, it only takes substitutes, but do you want the system to automatically check if already enrolled professors are available during the day to take over if no subs available? Or do you want to just keep it strictly on substitutes?
The question is, should other professors who are available and are currently enrolled can replace a teacher, or should it only be restricted to substitutes? Right now it is only restricted to substitutes. You at the back.
What is the deadline for the teachers to tell you that they can't be there?
What is the deadline for the teachers to tell me that they can't be there half an hour? So, which teacher do you mean, the substitute or the current teacher? Oh, current teacher, well, they can send me an email at any time and I have to find a substitute teacher, but generally, for the substitute, half an hour.
Did you finish the question? Did you answer the previous one?
Yes, the teacher one.
For the teacher part, can you finish answering that part of the question before you come up?
Teacher,
how much the teacher?
30 minutes.
No. How long does the teacher have to contact you before? They can email anytime.
Well, the teachers can contact me at any time. Anyone can fall sick at any time. That's not in my control.
Based on what criteria are you want the software to choose substitute? Do you want solely based on super rating
Okay, the question is based on what criteria, stop talking everyone. The question is based on what criteria should the system assign substitute teachers? Well, there are 4 criteria currently in place.
Which one do you actually want based on?
Which one do I want it to be based on?
Do you want it to be based on all of them, or do you want it just based on one of them?
Right now it's on all of them. Your system should be able to your system should have an algorithm so that it can at least have all 4 of them. Or if you can think of any 5th edition which would be useful, sure.
How do you want us to put those together to come up with a rating?
That's for you to figure. The question is, how do I want you to put it together and come up with a rating? Well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be an administrator, I would be a software engineer.
SAS is source, Rex.